AITA for leaving my girlfriend after she said her ex could give her a better life? Hi, this happened about 2 years ago, but I'm finally ready to share it because it's honestly insane how things turned out. My ex-girlfriend told me she was leaving our small town for her ex-boyfriend, who supposedly had this incredible life waiting for her in California. I didn't beg or argue. I just agreed. Now, she's right back where she started, and I'm living in Manhattan, doing better than I ever imagined. Buckle up. I'm 31 now, a guy from Preston Falls, population 8,400. One of those towns where everyone knows each other, and the most exciting thing is the Friday night football games. I grew up there, went to the local school, and honestly never planned to leave. It wasn't that I lacked ambition, I just liked the simplicity, the no traffic, the low cost of living, and I had a good job as a senior accountant at Miller & Gates, the biggest accounting firm in town, which isn't saying much, but it paid well. The office was in a renovated historic building downtown, right across from the courthouse. I had my own office with a window overlooking Main Street. I could see the coffee shop, the bookstore, and the little park where they held concerts in the summer. It was comfortable. I knew every client personally. I could walk to get lunch, and I never dealt with corporate politics or crazy commutes. I met Nicole, 29, when we were both 25. She had moved back to Preston Falls after college, which should have been my first red flag. She had a communications degree from a mid-tier state university and hadn't found a job in the city, so she returned home. Her parents owned the Preston Diner, an institution that had been there since the 70s. Literally everyone in town had eaten there at some point. The diner was classic Americana, red vinyl booths, a checkered floor, a jukebox in the corner that still worked. Her parents, Gina and Franklin, had run it for 30 years. They were practically local celebrities. They knew everyone's order by heart. Gina called all the regulars honey and sweetheart, and Franklin made the best pancakes in 3 counties. When we met at a mutual friend's barbecue, she seemed different from the other girls I had dated. She was beautiful, with long, dark hair, always dressed like she was about to go somewhere better than where she actually was. I was immediately into her. We started dating, and for the first year, everything was great. She worked part-time at the diner while applying for jobs in bigger cities. I was completely supportive, helping her with cover letters, giving her space to pursue her goals. I thought I was being a good boyfriend. I'd come home from work and find her at my kitchen table with her laptop open, scrolling through job listings. But here's the thing I took too long to see. Nicole was embarrassed by everything. Embarrassed by Preston Falls, embarrassed by her parents' diner, embarrassed by me. She'd make little comments that I brushed off at the time. "Are you really wearing that to dinner?" she'd say when she saw me in my standard jeans and a button-down for our date at the one fine dining restaurant in town. "Don't you want more than this?" she'd say, gesturing vaguely at our surroundings at any local event. My friends from college are living in New York and LA. Meanwhile, I'm stuck here. The "stuck here" comments were constant. She never directly said she was stuck with me, but the implication was there, hanging in the air like a bad smell. I tried to cheer her up, suggesting road trips. We talked about maybe moving in together one day, but it was never enough. One time we went to the county fair, something I'd gone to every year since I was a kid. Hot dogs, funnel cakes, terrible cover bands playing on a makeshift stage. I loved it. Nicole spent the whole night on her phone, posting Instagram stories with captions like "small town life," accompanied by an eye roll emoji. "Are you having fun?" I asked her at one point. She looked up. "It's fine. It's just, my friend Stephanie is at Coachella right now. Look at her stories." She showed me pictures of her friend in a flower crown surrounded by crowds and famous artists. "Well, yeah, but this is our thing, our tradition." She just sighed. Some traditions are worth keeping, some aren't. About 18 months in, I started noticing changes. She was on her phone more, smiling at texts she didn't explain. She started dressing up more, even just to run errands. She started mentioning her ex-boyfriend, Trevor, more frequently. Trevor just got promoted to senior account manager at a big ad agency in California. She'd say casually over dinner, as if it were normal to keep up with an ex's professional life. "Remember I told you about Trevor? Well, he just bought a condo in Santa Monica. Can you imagine living near the beach like that?" At first, I thought it was just conversation. Trevor had been her college boyfriend. They dated for about 2 years before they broke up when he moved west for a job. She had come back to Preston Falls heartbroken, according to her friends. I thought she was over it, but the mentions kept increasing. She'd show me his Instagram. Look at this rooftop party he went to. Doesn't that look amazing? Or she'd mention a conversation they had. Trevor texted me about this new restaurant. He says I'd love it if I ever visit California. I should have paid more attention, but I was busy with work, and honestly, I thought we were solid. We had already talked about moving in together, even getting engaged. I was making good money by Preston Falls standards, about $75,000 a year, which went a long way there. I'd started looking at houses. There was this cute 3-bedroom on Maple Street, walking distance to downtown. It had a big backyard, a front porch, and space for an office. I could picture our future there. I even drove Nicole past it once. What do you think? I asked, slowing down. She barely glanced at it. It's nice, I guess. Nice? It has that big kitchen you always say you want. Ethan, when I talk about wanting a kitchen, I mean one in a city. Not here. That should have been my wake-up call. But I convinced myself she just needed time, that once she found a job she loved, the location wouldn't matter as much. Then came the night everything changed. It was a random Tuesday in March. I came home from work, tired from tax season prep, ready to order a pizza and watch a movie with Nicole. She was sitting on my couch with a determined, rehearsed expression, like she'd practiced this moment. "We need to talk," she said, and my stomach immediately sank because everyone knows those words never lead to anything good. I sat down across from her, trying to read her expression. "What's up?" She took a deep breath, and what came out of her mouth felt like a punch to the gut. "I'm leaving Preston Falls. Trevor offered me a job at his company in California. It's everything I've been working for, a great salary, benefits, and I'd be living in Los Angeles. This is my chance to finally get out of here." I just stared at her, processing. "Okay, that's great for your career. When would you start? We can make long distance work." "No," she cut me off. "You don't understand. Trevor and I have been talking a lot. He's been helping me with my career, and we realized we still have feelings for each other. Real feelings." The air in the room grew heavy. My hands felt cold. "So you've been cheating on me." "It's not like that," she said quickly, defensively. "We were just talking at first, catching up as friends, but he made me see something important." She looked me right in the eye, and her next words were burned into my memory forever. "I'm too good for this small-town life with you. Trevor is offering me a real life in California. Opportunity, culture, actual restaurants that aren't roadside diners or chain places. I can't waste that by staying here with someone who settles for mediocrity." The mediocrity comment was what hurt the most. I had worked hard to build a career, to be financially stable, to be a good partner. I had put myself through college, working 2 jobs, studying my butt off for the CPA exam, and building a client list from scratch. But to her, if it wasn't flashy or in a big city, it was mediocre. "And you've just been waiting for him to come rescue you from this terrible life?" The resentment slipped out before I could stop it. She had the audacity to look offended. "That's not fair. I gave this relationship a real shot. But Trevor understands what I want out of life. He's ambitious. He's going somewhere, and you're not. You're comfortable here, Ethan. That's fine for you, but I need more." I could have fought. I could have argued that she was making a huge mistake, that Trevor was probably selling her a fantasy. I could have begged her to stay, promised to move wherever she wanted. I could have pointed out that she'd known me for 3 years and Trevor for a few months of renewed contact. Instead, something inside me just switched off. "You're absolutely right," I said calmly. She looked stunned. "What?" "You're right. You are too good for this small-town life. You should definitely go to California with Trevor. I think that's exactly what you should do." Her face went through several emotions: surprise, confusion, maybe a touch of disappointment that I wasn't fighting for her. "You're not even going to try to stop me? Why would I stop someone from chasing what they want? You just told me I'm mediocre and that you have feelings for someone else. This conversation is pretty clear. Your mind is made up." I shook my head. "No. If you think Trevor and California are your ticket to happiness, you should absolutely take it. I hope it all works out exactly how you imagine." She stood up, grabbing her purse, and I could see the wheels turning in her head. She had expected drama, tears, maybe anger. My calm acceptance seemed to completely throw her off. "Fine. I was trying to be honest with you, and you're just being cold. I'm being realistic. Have a great life, Nicole." She hesitated at the door, as if waiting for me to say something else, some reaction she could work with. When I didn't, she just left. I sat on my couch staring at the wall for probably 2 hours. A weird kind of numbness washed over everything. My friend Calvin called around 10 p.m. He could tell something was wrong in my voice. "Dude, you sound weird. What happened?" I told him everything. His response was immediate. "Man, she is full of it. Trevor probably told her a bunch of nonsense, and she ate it up. This is going to blow up in her face so hard." "Maybe," I said. "But either way, I'm done. If someone can tell me to my face that I'm mediocre, they can leave." Calvin came over with beers, and we stayed up talking about what I should do next. That night, sitting with my best friend, something became clear. Nicole wasn't the only one who could chase bigger things. I had been comfortable in Preston Falls, but maybe it was time to stop being comfortable. Calvin had been my friend since middle school. We played basketball together, went to the same state college for different majors, and stayed in touch when we both moved back to Preston Falls. He worked as a project manager for a local construction company. He was married to his high school sweetheart, Stephanie, and they had a 2-year-old daughter, Ella. "You know what pisses me off?" Calvin said, on his second beer. "She acts like you were holding her back, like you had her kidnapped here or something. You were ready to support whatever she wanted to do." "Yeah, well, apparently support isn't enough when your ex offers you California. California is overrated anyway. Stephanie's sister lives in San Diego. She says the traffic is insane and everything costs twice as much." I laughed despite myself. "I don't care about California. I care that she's been talking to Trevor behind my back for who knows how long. Building a whole escape plan while I'm looking at houses." Calvin sat up straight. "Wait, you were looking at houses? That place on Maple. I was going to show it to her this weekend. Actually sound her out about moving in. Jesus Christ, dude. You dodged a bullet." The next morning, I called my college roommate, Daniel, who had moved to New York City right after graduation and worked in finance. "Hey man, hypothetically, if I wanted to look for accounting jobs in Manhattan, would you have any contacts?" Daniel didn't even hesitate. "Dude, yes, my firm's accounting department is always hiring, and with your experience, you'd be a shoo-in." "Are you being serious?" "Dead serious. Send me whatever you've got." Within a week, I had 3 interviews lined up with firms in Manhattan. I used vacation days to fly out. I crashed on Daniel's couch and nailed every interview. The job market for experienced accountants was hot, and the firms loved that I had diverse client experience from a small town. The interviews were intense, but exhilarating. They weren't stuffy corporate meetings. They were conversations with smart people who valued skills over pedigree. At Davidson and Pierce, the managing director even said, "We're tired of kids straight out of Ivy League schools who don't know how to handle real client relationships. We need people who can communicate." I answered every question with ease. I talked about handling difficult clients, explaining complex tax situations to regular people, and building trust with local businesses. The skills I developed in Preston Falls were exactly what they needed. 2 weeks after Nicole left, I got an offer from Davidson and Pierce, a mid-sized firm in Midtown. The salary was $135,000, almost double what I made in Preston Falls. The cost of living was higher, of course, but the opportunity was massive. I accepted immediately. Meanwhile, Nicole was posting nonstop on social media about her new adventure. Pictures of her and Trevor at trendy restaurants, beach sunsets, her new office, which oddly looked like a WeWork-style co-working space. She even tagged me in a few posts at the beginning. I immediately untagged myself. The captions were things like, "Finally living my best life," and "Some people are just meant for bigger things." The passive aggression was palpable from miles away, but I didn't engage. I was too busy packing up my life and preparing for my own move. When people in Preston Falls started hearing I was moving to Manhattan, the reactions were mixed. Some were supportive, my parents, Calvin, my coworkers who understood the opportunity. But others, especially Nicole's circle, made comments. Her mother, Gina, even confronted me at the grocery store. I was in the cereal aisle when she rolled up with her cart, blocking mine. "So you're really leaving? After Nicole already left? Who's going to be here for the community?" The level of entitlement was incredible. I had done a ton for Preston Falls. I volunteered for the Youth Basketball League. I did free tax prep for seniors every spring. I donated to local causes. But apparently, Breaking up with Gina's daughter meant I owed my eternal presence to the town. Gina, with all due respect, your daughter made it very clear that being here was beneath her. I'm just following her lead and looking for better opportunities. She huffed and walked away, but not before saying loud enough for others to hear. Some people have loyalty, others just think about themselves. The irony of Nicole's mother accusing me of selfishness was not lost on anyone who knew what really happened. I moved to Manhattan in May, about 2 months after the breakup. Daniel helped me find a decent studio in Queens. Nothing fancy, but a real New York City apartment that was all mine. The city was overwhelming at first, but I adapted quickly. The job at Davidson and Pierce was intense, but rewarding. I was learning, growing, and meeting people who challenged me. The first week, I worked until 9 p.m. every night, partly because there was so much to learn and partly because I had nowhere else to be. But I loved the energy, the pace, the fact that I was surrounded by people who wanted more out of life than Friday night football and county fairs. I deleted Nicole from all my social media, but Calvin still gave me the town gossip updates because I had apparently become a topic of conversation. Dude, people can't believe you actually left, Calvin told me on a call. Nicole's mom is going around saying you abandoned the town. It's ridiculous. Let them talk, I said. I'm doing fine here. And I was. In my first month in NYC, I went to more museums, restaurants, and events than I had in years in Preston Falls. I joined a work recreational basketball league, which was hilarious because those finance guys took it way too seriously. We'd have games at a gym in Chelsea, and some of them would show up in custom jerseys and knee braces like they were pros. I also started dating casually. Nothing serious, just enjoying meeting new people. I went on a few dates through apps. I met interesting women with real careers and ambitions that went beyond escaping their hometown. Meanwhile, about 3 months into Nicole's big California move, the cracks started to show. Her Instagram posts slowed down. The glamorous pictures of her and Trevor became less frequent. When she did post, it was mostly generic sunset pictures with vague captions like finding yourself and embracing change. Calvin said her friends back home were hearing a different story. Apparently, the job Trevor got her wasn't what she expected. She's basically an administrative assistant. And get this, Trevor still lives with roommates. That condo he was bragging about is actually a shared apartment in Culver City. Shocking, I said, though I'd be lying if I didn't feel a small bit of satisfaction hearing it. Also, it sounds like Trevor is still seeing other people. Nicole thought they were exclusive, but he's apparently on dating apps telling girls he's single. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered her calling my life mediocre, and that pity evaporated quickly. My big break at work came when I landed a major client, a tech startup that was preparing for an acquisition. The founders were 2 guys in their late 20s who had built a successful app and were now facing complex tax implications for their exit strategy. The work was challenging in the best way. I spent weeks analyzing their corporate structure, finding legal ways to minimize their tax burden, and coordinating with their legal team. It required long hours and creative problem solving, but I thrived on it. When the deal closed, the founders sent my boss, Laura, an email praising my work. Ethan not only saved us money, he explained everything in plain English and made us feel confident in our decisions. The best accountant we've ever worked with. Laura called me into her office the next day. You've been here 8 months and you're already one of my most dependable people. How would you feel about a promotion to senior accountant? My salary jumped to $165,000. I upgraded my apartment to a 1-bedroom in Astoria with a view of the Manhattan skyline. It wasn't huge, but it was mine, and waking up to that view every morning felt like winning. The apartment became my sanctuary. I furnished it slowly, carefully, picking out pieces I actually loved instead of just what was cheapest. I bought a real couch from West Elm, a bed with a frame instead of a mattress on the floor, and art for the walls that meant something to me. My favorite spot was the small balcony where I'd have coffee every morning and watch the city wake up. The skyline view wasn't a fancy, high-rise panorama, but I could see Manhattan across the water. The Empire State Building, lit up at night, felt like proof that I'd actually made it. During this time, I started dating someone, Sophia, a lawyer I met in the basketball league. She was smart, driven, and had her own career and her own life. She never once made me feel like I wasn't enough. We had been dating for about 6 months when the real bombshell about Nicole dropped. Sophia was a corporate lawyer at a firm in Midtown. She worked the same crazy hours I did. Our first conversation was her teasing me for missing an easy layup during a game. "You're an accountant, right? You should understand basic math. Ball plus basket equals points. It's simple." I laughed. "And you're a lawyer, right? You should understand that trash talk requires better material." She grinned. "Buy me a drink, and I'll work on better insults." We'd go on dates where we'd both be checking our phones for work emails, completely understanding when the other had to cancel because of a major deadline. No guilt, no passive-aggressive comments about working too much, just two people building careers they cared about. It was Christmas time, almost a year since the breakup. I was back in Preston Falls visiting my parents for the holidays. I had managed to avoid running into Nicole or her family for the entire trip, but Calvin insisted we go for a drink at Riley's, the local bar. "Come on, man, you can't hide from her forever. Plus, I haven't seen you in months." "I'm not hiding. I just don't need the drama." "There won't be any drama. We'll have a beer, catch up, and if we see her, we see her. You're doing amazing things. You have nothing to be afraid of." He was right. We went to Riley's, a dive bar that had been in Preston Falls longer than I'd been alive. Wood paneling, old neon signs, a pool table in the back. The bartender, Michael, recognized me right away. "Ethan, heard you're in New York now. How's the big city treating you?" "Can't complain. It's crazy, but I love it." We got our beers and found a booth. And then I saw her through the window. Nicole was behind the counter at the Preston Diner, wearing the same uniform as her mother, looking exhausted and nothing like the glamorous California girl she portrayed on Instagram. The diner was visible from Riley's. We used to go there for drinks after having dinner at the diner. I could see her clearly through the window, taking orders, refilling coffee, going through the whole waitress routine. Calvin saw my expression. "Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. She moved back about 2 months ago." "What happened?" He took a long drink. "The whole Trevor thing blew up. Turns out he was dating like 3 other girls at the same time, telling all of them he'd help them with their careers. Nicole finally figured it out when another girl showed up at the apartment looking for him. They had a huge fight in front of the neighbors. Total mess. Jesus. Yeah. She came back here with nothing. No job, no savings, no plan. Her parents are making her work at the diner to earn her keep, since she blew through what little money she had. Told her she'd embarrassed the family. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity, just nothing. She made her choice, and it backfired. That was her problem, not mine. We finished our beers and ordered some food. 10 minutes later, Nicole walked up to our table to take our order. She looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice cracking. "I didn't know you were in town. Just visiting my parents for the holidays. How's California treating you?" Her face turned red. "I'm back. Things didn't work out with Trevor." "Sorry to hear that," I said, though my tone made it clear I wasn't very sorry at all. "I'll have the burger and fries." Calvin ordered the same, and Nicole scribbled it down, avoiding eye contact. Her hands were shaking slightly. "I heard you moved to New York. How's that going?" "It's going great, actually. Got promoted a few months ago. I love the city. Great opportunities, amazing people. It's all coming together." That's great." She looked like she wanted to say more, but couldn't find the words. "I'll go put your order in." She scurried away, and I could see her talking to her mom behind the counter, both of them glancing over at me. Gina was scowling. Calvin was grinning. "Dude, that was perfect. You didn't even rub it in or anything. What's there to rub in?" She made her decision. I made mine. Her plan didn't work. Mine did. That's life. We ate our burgers, and I noticed Nicole kept finding excuses to walk by our table, refilling water we hadn't touched, asking if we needed anything else, clearly wanting to start another conversation. Later that night, around 11 p.m., I got a text from Nicole. I had forgotten I hadn't deleted her number. "Can we please talk? Even just for coffee? I owe you an explanation." I stared at that text for a long time, sitting in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. Part of me was curious what she would say, what excuses she would make, how she would try to spin the narrative. But most of me knew there was no point. Whatever she said wouldn't change anything. She left because she thought she was upgrading her life. She was wrong. End of story. I texted back. "There's nothing to talk about. What happened, happened. We've both moved on." Or at least I have. She replied almost instantly. Please. I was so wrong. I wrote back. Yes, you were. I hope you figure your stuff out. She tried calling me twice. I didn't answer. Then she sent a long paragraph. Ethan, I made a huge mistake. Trevor lied to me about everything. His job, his apartment, his intentions. I was stupid and I'm so sorry. I should have never said those things about you or about Preston Falls. You were so good to me, and I threw it all away for something that wasn't even real. Now I'm back here trying to pick up the pieces, and I just want to apologize. I don't expect you to forgive me or for us to get back together. I just need you to know that I was wrong about everything. I read it twice, then deleted it without replying. What was I supposed to say? Thanks for the apology, but you destroyed my trust and called my life mediocre. So we're good. There was no response that would make anything better. The next day, my mom asked me about it when I mentioned I'd run into Nicole. We were in the kitchen, and she was making her famous Christmas cookies. Are you going to give her another chance? She made a mistake. Mom, she didn't make a mistake. She made a calculated decision to leave because she thought she was too good for me in this town. It didn't pan out, and that's not something I need to fix. My mom stopped kneading the dough and looked at me. You're right. I just feel bad for her. Gina says she's been devastated. Don't be. She's an adult who made adult choices. She'll figure out her life. And honestly, I'm happier now than I ever was with her. Sophia is great. New York is great. Everything worked out better than if Nicole had stayed. Mom nodded slowly. I can see it. You seem more confident, more grounded. Because I am. Nicole, leaving forced me to bet on myself instead of staying comfortable. It's the best thing that ever could have happened to me. The rest of the Christmas visit was drama-free. I avoided the diner. I spent time with my family and my old friends. I flew back to New York on New Year's Eve and watched the ball drop from a rooftop party in Brooklyn with Sophia and her friends. It felt surreal. A year ago, I was in Preston Falls with Nicole, thinking that was my whole world. Now I was in this massive city with someone who actually appreciated me, surrounded by people who were building lives instead of complaining about the ones they had. Sophia kissed me at midnight and said, "To new beginnings." I couldn't have said it better myself. Fast forward to now, about 2 years after the breakup. I'm still in Manhattan, now making $195,000 as an accounting manager. Sophia and I moved in together 6 months ago into a bigger place in Brooklyn. 2 bedrooms, a real kitchen, even a small backyard, which is practically a miracle in New York. We're talking about getting engaged, not in a desperate, we have to lock this down way, but in a natural, this is obviously where we're headed way. She makes me laugh, she challenges me, she supports my career while absolutely crushing her own, in a good way. We're partners in everything. My life is objectively better than I ever imagined it could be. I have a career I'm proud of, a relationship built on mutual respect, and a city full of opportunity. I go to Broadway shows, try restaurants from every culture imaginable, and I never, ever feel like I'm settling for mediocrity. Calvin sends me occasional updates from Preston Falls. His construction business is doing well. His daughter Ella is 4 now and hilarious, according to the videos he sends. We FaceTime every month, and he's planning to visit me in New York in the spring. Dude, I'm so proud of you, he told me on our last call. You took something that could have wrecked you and turned it into rocket fuel. That's pure main character energy. And yes, updates about Nicole come through too. She's still working at her parents' diner, now apparently as an assistant manager, which sounds impressive until you remember it's a family business with a total of 6 employees. She's dating a local guy, some dude named Brian who works at the hardware store and has never left Preston Falls. Her Instagram is now mostly pictures of coffee and sunsets with captions about appreciating the simple things and finding happiness where you are. And not everyone is made for big cities. The complete 180 from her California dreams is almost comical. All those posts about how she was destined for bigger things, how small-town life was beneath her, how she deserved luxury and culture and sophistication. And now she's posting pseudo-philosophical quotes about the beauty of simplicity. Calvin sent me one recently, a picture of the diner's new menu. Caption, family legacy. Some things matter more than fancy zip codes. Grateful for roots and real community. I showed it to Sophia, who knew the whole story. She just shook her head. The mental gymnastics required to go from "this town is beneath me" to "family legacy" must be exhausting, huh? How? Just admit you made a bad call and move on. Why does everything have to be spun into a life lesson? Because admitting you were wrong about everything is harder than pretending you chose this all along, Sophia said. Classic cognitive dissonance. The irony is not lost on me. She left because she believed she was too good for the simple, small-town life with me. Now she's living that exact life, just without me in it. Meanwhile, I took her rejection and used it as motivation to chase something bigger. Comment. Sometimes, the hardest rejections are actually life's greatest redirections. Instead of letting someone else's opinion define your worth, use that pain as fuel to build a future you are truly proud of. This story reminds us that happiness isn't found in chasing a fantasy or a fancy zip code, but in the genuine growth we experience when we refuse to settle. So, if you feel like you've lost everything, hold your head high. Your biggest upgrade might be waiting just around the corner. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.